Hey guys, how are we doing? Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Friday, February the 14th, 2025. And if you're of that persuasion and you want to celebrate Valentine's Day and all that, well, happy Valentine's Day to you. I personally don't do it. I tell my wife Tara that I love it every single day and try and spoil her as much as I can every single day. And I don't need a commercialised holiday to tell me to go out and spend a shitload of money on her. So, but if that's you, then good luck to you. But look, another beautiful day. Little Neil's in the shit again. You probably think we're shocking parents, but we almost lost him again yesterday. And I'm just going to tell the reason why before everyone says, geez, what are you guys doing? We took him out, well, I took him out the back of the house, sat at our little, on the patio there, and I normally let him go out and do his business, and I'll just sort of watch him, and he sort of scooted down to the left where we have a side gate. Now, the side gate's always closed, and it's actually quite heavy, so I've never really had to worry about him sort of going through there. It's closed, so it's all good. I'm sort of watching in the other direction because he normally goes up around the back of the house, does his business, and comes down where I'm actually looking. And I'm just sitting there and all good and hadn't seen him for a while. And Tara said, that little shit's gone, I reckon. I was, no, he's all right. I'm looking right there. He normally comes that way. Well, he'd actually managed to get that side gate open. It's a pretty heavy gate. I don't know how he's done it, but he's obviously pushed it with his head and got it open, and he's gone. But the good news this time is we've put a collar on the little bastard with one of those air tags in it. So I got on the app, and then sure enough, he's down the street. So we jumped in ended up finding him down at the Oval, which is still a fair little walk. That's where we go every day. He's obviously got his little routine because there's a little bridge at the Oval that he goes over that takes him to where we found him in the past. So found him down at the footy Oval. He wasn't in the good books, but geez, really glad that we got the air tag because I knew exactly where he was, and we just drove down there and found him, and there he was, looking at us like butter wouldn't melt in his mouth. So there you go. Hopefully, obviously that doesn't happen again. I know I've said that a few times, but at least this time, we're getting there. At least this time he's got the air tag so we know where he is. But this time there'll be no trust as far as letting him go anywhere. He will be in my sight at all times, even when he does his business out the back. So anyway, on to the boxing. And well, it really hit the fan yesterday, didn't it? As far as the whole Brock Jarvis, Michael Zerafa thing. Of course, I covered this yesterday in the video about Zerafa probably being, Michael Zerafa had been allegedly tapped on the shoulder by No Limit and told to be on standby for stepping in to fight Keith Thurman. Someone actually made a good point too in response to, I don't know it was on this video or on Instagram, wherever else I'll put it, saying that, well, if anything, probably they should be more worried about Thurman pulling out, and maybe it would be more likely that it is Michael Zerafa versus Brock Jarvis would be the most logical thing that might happen. But look, both parties, well, all parties have responded. I think Keith Thurman did a video for starters, not necessarily about that, but had a crack at Brock saying, look, can you at least try and make it to the second round? So that sort of got a bit of a back and forth, but Brock really got his back up about the prospect of him pulling out. The interesting thing is he did say that he's not actually training with Jeff. Now, I don't know the full story about this, but apparently Jeff is having input and will be there on fight night, according to Brock, but isn't actively involved in his camp, which is really strange to me. I don't know whether Jeff's having some health issues or some personal issues. I don't know, but it just sort of got my attention that, well, okay, he's confirmed that he's not training him, but he will be there on fight night. Let's have a look at the comments. First of all, what did Brock say? It says here, why would I not be able to fight? He asked this masthead. Such a stupid thing to say. Of course I'm fighting. Then it was asked whether he'd consider fighting Zerafa in a new main event if Thurman pulled out. He said, of course I'd fight Zerafa. It's a much easier fight than Thurman. But he says, but I'm just focused on Keith right now. I don't even know who he's fighting. He should be worried about that guy. And there was a video as well that he put out as well. I won't play it, but pretty much saying, mate, no one gives a shit about your fight. You just worry about that. I'll worry about mine, sort of thing. Says here, so it's saying here, now who's the actual person behind it? Brendan Bradford is the author or the writer, whatever. It says here, No Limit tapped Zerafa on the shoulder as a potential replacement after Jarvis' split with Fenech late last month. But Brock says his relationship with the former four-time world champion won't interfere with his preparations. He says, this is Brock, I think Jeff will be in my corner on fight night. Whatever everyone's saying, it's just irrelevant. Jeff will be there on fight night. Jeff's great in the corner. So it says here, Fenech isn't actively involved in the fight camp, but has been keeping in touch with Team Jarvis and wants nothing but the best for the fighter. And Brock then says he's still involved, but he's had a lot going on. I'm letting him be a little bit. Jarvis said of Fenech, I think that's the right thing for him right now. So I'm not sure what's happening there. He also says I'm progressing with training and I still speak to Jeff, so it's all good. Nothing's changed in my camp. I've got good people around me and this is not my first rodeo. And he also had a word to or for Keith Thurman about Keith saying he stays in the pocket too long, and that will be to his demise. And he says he can call me the wallet if I stay in the pocket for too long. Jarvis said, just call me the wallet. Not a bad comeback. And then Brock says, this is about Thurman. I don't give a shit if he's been out 3 years. Or if he fought recently, I'm going to stop him in 5 rounds. I've never seen Keith in person. None of it matters. I just look at his fighting ability and that's it. I get confidence from that. So he's talking a big game, is Brock Jarvis. And good on him for responding. I'm glad that he actually did something yesterday and put this to rest. Now, I'm still not going to say this is the end of it, because somewhere along the line, something has been said. Now, No Limit hasn't commented on it, but where does this come from with Brendan Bradford? Where has it come up? Now, maybe it was just an innocent interview with Michael Zerafa and Michael Zerafa's brought it up. I don't know. But where has it come from that there's been a full article written about it and now everyone's sort of going back and forth? As for Michael Zerafa, now he said, where's his quote? You can always count on Michael for a very, very good quote. All right, he says, this is in retaliation or a reply to Brock Jarvis. Relax, little guy. I'm following instructions. Now, what instructions are they, I wonder? Seems no one, including your team, actually thinks you'll turn up, so I've been told to stay on standby. I'm focused on my own fights. Since yours doesn't do anything for me. Not really keen on missing out on a belt because you won't turn up. Sort your shit out. So that's the reply from Michael Zerafa. So as I said, like there's too much going on here to be something not amiss. Something is happening. Now, look, as I said, maybe it was just a question from Brendan Bradford. Maybe he's heard some things about with the split, and maybe he just brought it up to Michael saying, well, what, if Brock can't get another trainer, and if he pulls out, would you be available? And Michael's responded. But he did say, though, that No Limit themselves have actually been in contact with him. Now, I want to see the promoter. I want to see George Rose make a statement or do an interview, do something to let everyone know what's going on. Now, end of the day, I don't think people really care whether it's Thurman and Jarvis, whether it's Thurman and Zerafa, or whether it's Zerafa and Jarvis. I don't think many people really care. I'm not really fussed either way, but as I said, I think it'd be great for the promoters to at least let everyone know what's happening. It's just bad business, if you ask me. But it's fascinating stuff, and it does set up maybe a potential Jarvis and Zerafa fight down the track. It probably depends, of course, how Brock goes against Thurman. Even if he loses and goes pretty well, he still might be some sort of opponent for Michael Zerafa that in the meantime of what he's up to. So because he hasn't really got that much going on besides Tim. So yeah, some fascinating stuff going on there. So we'll see what happens. Another thing I read about yesterday, and it's just obviously a comment that I'd like to a topic that I'd like to discuss, and that is the talking about open scoring in professional boxing. Now, I know this has sort of been mooted for a while now, but apparently it's getting close, and there's a lot of fors and against for this. I know just on the surface it's probably easier to say, well, open scoring, how hard can it be? You know, like, get it out there. We want to make these judges accountable. We want to see what's going on. We want to obviously, well, I'm not sure they can address it during the fight, but we want to know what's going on, so it puts a bit more pressure on the judges. But do we really need more pressure on the judges? I'm all for making them accountable, by the way. But when I say accountable, I probably more mean that they should have to explain themselves after the fight in some sort of press conference or whatever. They do it in the sports, American sports night. Why not do it in boxing? I don't understand it. So look, I must admit I like the closed scoring because I don't want to know what's going on. And what it actually does is, let's just say, and you see it all the time in the amateurs. When I was fighting, I remember it all the time. You get a fighter, and it can change the whole course of the fight, and the tempo of the fight can change everything. And what I mean is, what happens is that you get one fighter gets to a big lead. Now, let's just say it's professional boxing, and 9 rounds are down. We've got 3 rounds to go, and one fighter is up by 4 points. Or across the board, he's winning, and all he has to do is stay on his feet, and he's going to win. So what does he do? He goes ultra cautious, backs up, moves away, doesn't engage, and the fight just becomes a farce. And I've seen it in the amateurs when you get the fighter that's up by 5, 6 points, whatever, in the last round, and I've seen fighters literally run around the ring and just engage any contact whatsoever. So that could happen in the pros. Not to mention the opponent that might be 4 or 5 rounds down. He might go, well, it probably goes 2 ways. He can really step it up, of course, and maybe try and get the knockout. But if he's got an opponent that doesn't want to engage, that's not really going to work. But the other thing that can happen, they can get so demoralised and pretty much give up, and then they just go through the motions, and we get a stalemate for the last 3 rounds. There's lots of things happening. What happens as well if a judge, well, it's open scoring, and fans don't like the scores? There might be things thrown at the judge. There might be people trying to muscle in on the judge and stand over them. Lots of things that happen. The other thing is it could affect or influence a judge is that the judge looks at the scores on the scoreboard or whatever it is and says, geez, the other 2 judges have scored completely the other way from me, so maybe I better change my way of judging so I'm not going to get that scrutiny maybe after the fight that I might get if I go the other way. And we've seen that. Some judges will be, 2 judges will have it clearly for one and one will have it clearly for another. So does that then change the way a judge judges the rest of the fight? If after 6 rounds he says, oh shit, okay, I've got my guy up 5 rounds to 1, the other 2 judges have got the other guy up 4 rounds to 2, I'm going to have to change. Well, I'm going to change so I don't look like an idiot afterwards and face a lot of scrutiny. Maybe that's what might happen. I'm not sure. But there's little things in there that on the surface it's just easy to say, let's do open scoring. But I just think it could cause more problems than it's worth or than what it might solve. Not to mention as well that I like the suspense. I like after 12 rounds thinking, wow, what's going to happen here? Not, well, we know the score, so let's just wrap it up, and then the last 3 rounds is like, especially in the last sort of round, it might even be a close fight, but on the scorecards, one fighter's actually got the fight won. He might be 3 points up. It's been a great fight, and then the last round pretty much becomes a stalemate. Everyone, this way, buddy, this way, man. G'day, mate. And then we get a stalemate in the last sort of round or 2 and nothing happens, and you know, it just sort of fizzles out. That's what I don't want. I want fighters to fight to the last bell, and I'm just not sure we'll get that if that's the case. So what do you guys think about that? Yes, good in theory, but maybe not. A couple of last things. There is the big fight this weekend, Keyshawn Davis and Dennis Berinchek. Well, there's controversy because there's a racism row in that fight, and it's never a dull moment in boxing, is there? Apparently, well, not apparently, it did happen. A box or bag or something of bananas, excuse me, and watermelon has been delivered to Keyshawn Davis's hotel room, apparently, and of course now they're crying racism. They've blamed Berencek for it, but apparently there's been a little bit of looking at Teofimo Lopez now as being the culprit, because he did watch it on social media. You can see he's laughing his ass off about it, so apparently he was behind it. I don't know. I mean, I will say there's probably no need for any of this sort of stuff. Same as the thing with the paint with Sandy Ryan. Not to say Michaela Mayer was involved in that, but geez, it's a bad look, isn't it, when these things happen? Do we really need to resort to this sort of stuff to try and get an edge over opponents? I don't understand it. But this, look, you can probably take it a couple of ways. You could probably just laugh it off, or as we seem to do these days, get all bent out of shape and offended, and you know, we carry on. But look, yeah, it's not a good look, I don't think, no matter who did it. Even if Teofimo Lopez did it as a joke, probably not a very smart thing to do. But let's face it, Teofimo Lopez is not the smartest guy out there. Probably does before he thinks. So I'm sure he'll get a bit of a slap on the hand, old Teofimo Lopez and Keyshawn Davis. He has now, in reply, said that he will knock Dennis Berencek out in one round as payback. I think it's going to be a tough fight. I really do. I expect Keyshawn Davis to win. I think he will win a decision, but it's very rare you take out a Ukrainian. They're just tough guys, and it's very, as I said, very rare that you stop one or knock one out. So I think if Keyshawn Davis is going to win, it's going to be on points, and I think he will win on points. I think he'll win a unanimous decision, but it'll be tough. Berencek will be there the whole way, and I think he'll give Davis a very, very good fight, and maybe then set up some really big fights for Keyshawn Davis down the track. So guys, that is probably going to do it. I'm going to enjoy this lovely Friday. I haven't got a lot to do today. I'm just in the office working on some stuff, so I'll be happily taking advantage of that. I will be keeping an eye on this little prick though, just as the neighbourhood dog has a crack, as he always does at Neil. But enjoy your Friday, enjoy your Valentine's Day if that's what you're up to today, and we'll catch you tomorrow.